You know what I'm saying? You know those Biden boys love blow. You know what I'm saying? Hunter Biden loves just doing blow in general, and Biden loves blowing black people off. Biden is blowing off black voters, a reparations activist say. The president needs to act. All right. So now there's people in this comment section here who follow some of the individuals who will be talked about in this article on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to those people who enjoy those people's content that will be aforementioned on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says President Biden is taking black voters for granted and losing their support by remaining silent on and not backing reparations for black Americans as a way to make amends for slavery and racism, according to pro-reparations activists who spoke to Fox News Digital. I believe the Biden administration's stance is emblematic of the Democratic Party's benign neglect of black voters, ADOS, American descendants of slavery, voters more specifically, said Yvette Carnell, president of ADOS Advocacy Foundation. Now, I hear that I've heard this before. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Y'all can let me know. Shout out to Tammy Dorsey. I heard that Yvette Carnell is very sensitive. So if you simply mention her name, you'll be blocked on Twitter. So I'm assuming that after I read this article that Fox News posted, I'll be blocked on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? But I guarantee you Fox News isn't. Black voters are whipped into a frenzy around election time, and Republicans are made into boogeymen, as Biden himself said back in 2012, want to put y'all back in chains. Which is funny because being that Biden isn't a doso, us going back in chains, he can get the old family business going. I got a better idea. Let's create value chains and get these people out of power. Shout out to Deneen. Deneen said DeSantis's lawyer defined woke as the belief that systemic inequalities exist and that they should be addressed. I mean, that sounds about right. Do you guys agree with Ron DeSantis's lawyer's definition of woke? They should have got him to define what woke was instead of that. What was that chick's name? Bethany Mandel? Oh, it's not true. Yvette is straight. Okay. I'm not sure. I don't really follow her content. I'm not too familiar with her. This is just what I heard. So I just want to make sure that, you know, all I'm doing is reading the article. You know how overly sensitive people can be. You mention somebody's name, you'll get a bunch of videos made about you for the next 12 months. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want that. I don't have time for that shit. You know what I'm saying? So now here it said it's fear mongering rather than offering a reparations framework or a transformative black agenda that we can actually get excited about. And so far, everything that she said, I agree with. You know what I'm saying? So far, everything that she said, I agree with. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love to Val Williams with the $5 super chat. We got another stream sponsor. So make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat. Definitely appreciate it, Val. So now here it says Biden is facing increased pressure to use his authority to either support legislation or unilaterally enact proposals that would advance efforts to give out reparations, especially as the campaign for cities and states to pay reparations at a more local level gains major momentum across the country. At the federal level, meanwhile, lawmakers have introduced their own measures. Most recently, Representative Cori Bush, a Democrat from Missouri, introduced a proposal in May to pay $14 trillion to compensate for what she believes are quote unquote racist government policies that created a wealth gap between black and white people. While critics have dismissed the proposal as absurd and unrealistic, supporters argue it sends an important message. So now here's my question. How many people heard about this proposal that Cori Bush made? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love. Throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Carla with the $5 super sticker. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys. We got 3 stream sponsors so far. We got AB Promotions. Show him some love. We got Val Williams and we got Carla. That's what's up. So my question is, what do you guys think so far of what she's saying here? I don't find anything wrong with what she's saying so far, Congresswoman. But what I am curious about is what is this legislation that Cori Bush put out? Has anybody heard of it? Because the last thing I heard about with Cori Bush was she was sitting up there putting on Twitter, racial justice is climate justice, which I completely disagree with. Except for if you're talking about Jason Aldean, he got climate justice on that stage, didn't he? Didn't Jason Aldean got climate justice up on that stage, didn't he? Now that was some real climate justice, but I don't think that's what Cori Bush talking about. Congresswoman Bush's legislation challenges the notion that reparations for Black people have to wait for the right political moment and aren't feasible, says Dreesen Heath, an activist and reparations expert who for years worked as a researcher at Human Rights Watch. The American public should read through the entire proposal to identify the long range of government-sanctioned harms on Black America and how that has affected the healthiness of the country at large. Now, here's my question, right? This right here, this is SBE. And I agree with Deneen. This is all performative. This is SBE. This is shame, blame, and explain. You're telling these people that they need to read something that's common sense. If they wanted to read it, they would have picked it up and read it. One thing they want to do is they want to support Joe Rogan saying the N-word on Rumble. One thing that they want to do is get Black history out of school. If they wanted to read this stuff, if they wanted to do research about it, if they wanted to find out about it, then they would, right? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Miss Jazzy. What's good? What's up with it, Oil King? What's going on, bro? So now here it says Congresswoman Bush's proposal details the impact of chattel slavery and living legacies such as, there we go, Congresswoman Bush with this BS, living legacies such as environmental racism, lower life expectancy rates, maternal and infant mortality rates, over policing, over incarceration, and predatory lending. So again, we got Cori Bush. This is one of the reasons why got to get rid of the Democrats. Got to get rid of the Democrats. Heath noted that the $14 trillion figure didn't come from Bush, but was previously calculated by pro-reparations economists. Less ambitiously, several Democrats in Congress have backed a bill establishing a commission to study and develop reparations proposals for lawmakers to consider implementing. Now, here's my question. What do you guys think about all this? Shout out to Torsa Peters. What do you guys think about all this? That's my question. However, Biden has largely been silent about such initiatives, and the White House didn't respond to multiple requests for comments this week to clarify the president's position on reparations and seek his response to critics claiming that he needs to do more. Now, here's my question. What do you all think about Biden dodging this issue? Does that sound like he's trying to earn any votes? And shout out to Carla for hitting the Nightbot and stream elements. Does it sound like Joe Biden is trying to get any votes from Black people? It sounds to me like Biden is carrying on with the trope that you ain't Black if you don't vote for me, and that we know you're going to vote for the Democrats because nobody else likes you anyway. That's what it sounds like he's on. So my thing is, I really hope that history doesn't repeat itself and that people continue to vote Democrat after we're witnessing it so bad Biden is failing to service his constituency so bad that an anti-black, anti-reparations conservative news outlet is calling him out about not serving his voters. That's pretty damn bad. Shout out to old grandma. What's good with it? Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says, however, the White House has previously indicated Biden supports studying. And of course, we know that because studying doesn't mean any money comes out. However, the White House has previously indicated Biden supports studying potential reparations for Black Americans, but stops short of saying he'd back a bill introduced in Congress that would create such a commission. So now, what does that say? I need everybody in the comment section to translate that for me. Shout out to Black Spider. What's good with it? Translate that. That dude is he's playing possum, right? Last month, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre repeatedly dodged a question concerning whether Biden would support financial reparations being paid to the descendants of Black slaves in the United States. So now let me ask you guys a question. When somebody dodges or evades a question, what does that mean? When somebody dodges or evades a question, what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That's the question. In March, Jean-Pierre similarly failed to answer a question about whether Biden supports slavery reparations at a national level. Now, here's the thing. Shout out to TD Hip Hop Media, right? Because TD Hip Hop Media's got all the receipts. We already know what Joe Biden said about his stance on reparations. What did Joe Biden say about his stance on reparations? The first thing that Joe Biden's feeble mind spoke when asked about reparations was that only if it includes Native Americans. I mean, that's the first thing that, I mean, you first of all, you're not even considering doing this. But if you do consider doing it, you'll only do it if it considers a group of people who were involved in and benefited from slavery. That doesn't even make any logical sense. But what that does do for the person that's observant, that listens to that message, is he's telling you something. So my question is, what is he telling you? And yeah, for everybody that says no, and you know, Miss Jazzy with the middle finger flicking the bird, that's a fact. I gotta agree with my man AB Promotions. They're being deceptive. Right. And now Native Americans received all of their stuff, and they didn't receive it under the condition of if Black people get this stuff too. Right? It didn't work for them like that. You know what I'm saying? But for anything that we need as a result of legacy issues in the United States, it has to be attached to somebody else. That's what Joe Biden is saying without saying it. And I got to agree with Deneen. They're probably using Cori Bush. Big facts. Big facts. So now here it says, throughout this time, racial justice groups and some Democrats have been pushing Biden to establish a national reparations committee by executive order. So far, to no avail. So now let's pump the brakes and pull out some old receipts. All right. When we asked about executive orders before, shout out to Lucy. What's good with it, Lucy? And shout out to Michael R. What's good with it, bro? When we were talking about executive orders before and the Zoom call was leaked, what did he say on the Zoom call about executive orders? What did he say on the Zoom call about executive orders? And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 60 people in the room and we got 48 likes. If everybody could smash that like button and get those likes over 60, that'd be great. The lack of both words and actions has led to frustrations among those who support reparations, which I'm pretty sure is everybody in the chat. If you support reparations, throw some flames in the comment section. I'm pretty sure everybody watching this live stream right now supports reparations. So what that means is that at the very minimum, there should be at least 58 people who don't support Biden in the upcoming election, right? And I got to agree with Deneen. Deneen says, where's my cut of Native American reparations? Where's our cut of anybody's reparations? LGBTQ tax breaks, money that goes to other countries. Where's our cut of that? Anytime anything is designated towards us, there has to be a cut given to somebody else. Now, what I find interesting is that when they talk about crime statistics, when they say 13% of the population commits 55% of the crime, they never cut that up, do they? When they talk about the single mother rate or the single father rate, they never cut that up, do they? So that's interesting, right? But also, it's not that interesting. It should tell you exactly what time that the United States is on. And I think one of the things that people need to start doing is start dealing with the United States for exactly who they are, and what they're doing. We're sitting here acting like we're living in a democracy when we're actually dealing with a criminal organization. So I don't know how many people saw New Jack City, you know what I'm saying, Brooklyn's Finest, any of those old school movies like that. But we need to start dealing with the United States like what they are, a criminal organization. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Oil King. Oil King said, I'm voting for Dr. West. I'm not mad at you, Oil King. I got my critiques of Dr. West, but I'm definitely not mad at you for voting for Dr. West. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not mad at all. So now here it says, we are the base of the Democratic Party, and Biden told us very early on not to expect much movements on reparations, said Carnell. So now let me ask you guys a question, right? Who is the base of the Republican Party? Who's the base of the Republican Party? Anybody know who the base of the Republican Party is? What I want you guys to do is I want you guys to pay attention to how Republican candidates lean into and even go to extreme measures of what their constituents want. We're going to make the United States as anti-black as possible. We're going to legalize the N-word. We're going to take black history out of schools. You know what I'm saying? We're going to bring back slavery. We're going to get Jim Crow popping off. The Republicans do all of this stuff, right? When you come to my rally, you don't have to bring an American flag. If all you have is a Confederate flag, and I know everybody's a Christian, but if the only thing you can find is a cross that's on fire, you can bring that too. And and if you don't have any of that stuff, by all means, you can wear your SS attire and your Fourth Reich stuff, right? You got Tommy Tuberville, white nationalists are prideful Americans, right? They lean into what they want for their constituents, right? Democrats like Barack Obama and Kamala Harris are your group won. You won the election, which means that you have the majority of people in the country voting for you. What are you scared of? Do you think that Ron DeSantis cares that anybody has an issue with him removing black history from schools? No. The Democrats have the majority of every aspect of the government right now, which means that they should have total control. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree that the Democrats have virtually total control, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. But they're acting scared. Republicans don't act scared. They service their constituents no matter how radical it is. We need to ask the Republicans, why don't they service their most loyal base the same way the conservatives service their most loyal base? Shout out to the 6'4". What's good with it, bro? Would you guys agree that that's a fair question? We know the answer, but we need to push the question still while doing other things. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says that tells me he doesn't take the black vote serious. And I mean, she's right. I mean, I agree with what Yvette Carnell is saying here. You know what I'm saying? I agree with what she's saying. He takes it for granted. It's obvious to anyone watching that President Biden views the black vote as a captured vote to which he doesn't owe any exchange. And I mean, again, she's spot on with this assessment. She's spot on with this assessment. Yvette Carnell said he takes it for granted. It's obvious to anyone watching that President Biden views the black vote as a captured vote to which he doesn't owe any exchange. Is there anybody in here that disagrees with that last sentence? I agree with that 100%. She's absolutely right. Heath called on Biden to create a reparations commission by executive order, saying his lack of actions is losing him support among black voters. And honestly, that's good, right? Shout out to black voters, because he should be losing support if he's ignoring his voter base. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. You don't get anything for free. See, these people sit up here and talk about it's us that want all this stuff for free when it's actually them that want all this stuff for free. His son is a con artist getting all that free money from the Burisma, from the Ukrainian gas company. He's getting free votes. No, it's time to shut that stuff down. You got to pay to play, which means you got to pay us with policy if you want us to play. The Biden administration can issue an executive order today setting up a federal reparations commission, she said. Black voters continue to identify unkept promises from Biden and are less enthusiastic about his leadership because of what he has not delivered on, including reparations. The majority of Black Americans support reparations. And shout out to Professor Black Truth, because Professor Black Truth did a video where they were talking about a Pew Research study. You guys remember that? If you guys remember that video that Professor Black Truth did where he talked about that Pew Research study on reparations, give me a thumbs up. And he was right. It showed that most Black Americans, including Black conservatives, support reparations. Shout out to Dark Titan. Leaders have to be held accountable for unkept promises. They can't coerce support and then not deliver. It's that simple. Facts. Heath explained that Biden ran on a campaign promise to address systemic racism and the continuing impacts of slavery by supporting a study of reparations, which, again, this is not this. If somebody says they support a study of reparations, that's the same thing as if somebody says, you know, when a woman is like, do you love me? You know what I'm saying? And you like, well, you know, I like you more than I liked anybody else in the world. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. You're trying to get the draws without giving the commitment. Everybody knows that. That's what Biden is trying to do. He's getting the vote without getting a commitment. Know what I'm saying? Would you guys agree? Noting multiple press secretaries have gone on record during the Biden administration to say that the president supports a study of reparations. Again, people need to get away from this talk about studies and get with the actual action of, you need to only be calculating an amount and then starting to pay out money. You know what I'm saying? There's been enough studies. All you gotta do is read a Dr. Claude Anderson book. That's good enough. yeah. I support a study on our relationship. I don't support no wedding. I don't support no ring or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I support a study on our relationship. We can examine how good things are every day. You know what I'm saying? starting with, you know what I'm saying, bedroom activity. But, you know, as far as a wedding, that we might be moving a little bit too fast for that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hold on now. We might be moving a little bit too fast for that. Man, ain't nothing, but that's nothing but game. That's nothing but game. You know what I'm saying? Joe Biden running prom night, talking points on people, man. This is high school stuff. Given it's dead on arrival in Congress, Biden needs to act, she said. The political gatekeeping of this issue is detrimental to the well-being of the Black community and our country at large. While many voices are demanding executive action by Biden, others argue he should instead focus on throwing his weight behind legislation. I mean, my thing is, why can't he do both? You can't multitask, my dude? I mean, I wouldn't doubt it that you can't, but I'm just saying. Adrian said, let's take a poll in the bedroom, right? You know what I'm saying? You can slide down it, you know what I'm saying? But that's as far as it, and then once you do that, we're going to study the data. Right. You know what I'm saying? We need to study the data for the study. Understand? Hey, understand. Before we do anything, understand. I need that data. That's hilarious, man. So now here it says executive orders are presidential directives and thus typically too weak and limited to handle redress for slavery and its accumulated disadvantage, said Carnell. I view calls for an executive order as just another dodge by reparations activists who refuse to push Congress to pass a reparations bill for Biden to sign. I'm not mad at that either. I'm not mad at that either. And I agree, Ricky. I agree 100%. If you guys agree with Ricky, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Ricky, give me a thumbs down. Here's my question. If we need to do a study about the effects of slavery, why do we have any monuments, museums, or any of that stuff in the United States? Why is there a Martin Luther King Day? Why is there a Black History Month? Why are all these locations in the United States named anything? If we don't know anything about anything, why is anything named anything? I mean, what is it? What is it exactly that needs to be studied? The only thing that I think needs to be studied is I think it's us that needs to study the necessity of creating value chains. And then once we create a value chain that's powerful enough and that has large enough international reach, we can force the issue of reparations. There's a difference between asking and demanding. We need to get to the point to where we're demanding. And the demanding part will be the nice part, because once we build powerful enough value chains, you get one chance after we ask, and then after you say no, we're going to show you with the value chain how we're just going to extract it from the economy. People got to start taking that role. You know what I'm saying? Drawing that line in the sand. We're not taking no for an answer. We're going to get it by any means necessary, whether you like it or not. So we can get it through the government, which is the easy way, or we can get it where a bunch of businesses get put out of business. You know what I'm saying? Where some cities end up going through a really hard time because of some economic issues. We can do it an easy way where things flow fluidly, or we can do it a hard way where a lot of stuff goes bad. I think that people should start putting it out there that that's the kind of energy that we're on. You know what I'm saying? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody watching. We got 64 people watching and we got 60 likes. If everybody could smash that like button and get us over 70, that would be great. So now here it says, either way, reparations at the federal level appear stalled amid widespread Republican opposition. Only partial support among Democrat lawmakers. So now here's my question. It says only partial support among Democrat lawmakers. Now my question is, who of the Democrat lawmakers doesn't support reparations? Does anybody know? Anybody got the names? And my question is, if we're the Democrat voters, the largest and most loyal base, there shouldn't be any Democrats holding any office that don't support reparations. That's an automatic no-go. If white people want to make it where if you support reparations, you're automatically a liberal. Well, if you're a liberal and you don't support reparations, then you're automatically under the axe. We don't have time for negotiation when people are up here trying to run a dictatorship. So now here it says, still, pressure on Biden and the White House to act will likely mount as a growing number of localities add their names to the list of those actively pursuing reparations. And again, these localities that are pursuing reparations, they're pursuing reparations and just giving them to everybody. And the reason why they're pursuing reparations is to get the federal funding for it. Carlton said, I thought the Democrats were our friends. Yeah, they them kind of friends that be like, yeah, let me borrow $100. I'll pay you back tomorrow. And then when tomorrow comes, they be like, let me borrow $100 more. I'll pay you back the next day. You know what I'm saying? That's the Democrats right there. The latest example is Ann Arbor, home of sprawling University of Michigan. Local outlet MLive obtained emails from city council members revealing that they've been considering reparations for several months. How many people heard about that? The latest example is Ann Arbor, home of sprawling University of Michigan. Local outlet MLive obtained emails from city council members revealing that they've been considering reparations for months. Were you guys aware that they were planning on doing something like this in Michigan? If you guys were aware that they had planned on doing something like this in Michigan, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys weren't aware that they had planned on doing something like this in Michigan, then give me a thumbs down. As I previously shared with you, one of my main priorities on council has been to start a task force to help the city identify how we can pay reparations to the Black community. One council member wrote in a January 23rd email to a University of Michigan social work professor. In Georgia, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners voted last week in favor of $210,000 in funding towards a reparations study to discern if reparations are necessary for some Fulton County residents who are descended from slaves. I mean, why wouldn't it be necessary? Why wouldn't it be necessary? That's my question. And in New York City, and we're going to be talking about New York City next, the Department of Health is reportedly pushing reparations as an answer to racial and wealth inequities among New Yorkers. So now we got Mayor Eric Adams. Yeah, we about to get y'all together with a couple reparations checks over here. A little bit of free C-19 shots. You already know it's about to be some bullshit. You already know this is about to be a whole hot mess and nothing but nonsense. This New York stuff, but we're gonna check it out. Across the country, several other towns, counties, and cities have in recent months been considering or taking concrete steps to implement reparations. However, the Chicago suburb of Evanston recently took the unprecedented step of becoming the first city to actually start paying. So now my question is, how many people know about what's going on in Evanston? And is it actual reparations, or is it some nonsense that people are just calling reparations? Do you guys know how many people have seen it? And shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 71 people in the building. Shout out to all 71 people in the building. If everybody could take a moment and smash that like button and get our likes over 80, that would be great. Yeah, exactly. What about that issue? Tulsa survivors can't get reparations. Shout out to my man RG Titan. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says city staff have met with 48 recipients who are each eligible for the reparations, and 16 of them have received payments this week. So now again, They haven't defined who's qualified for these and why they're getting them. Right. And shout out to Adrian. Adrian says only 14 families qualified for Evanston. Now, here's my question. Why is it that only 14 people would qualify for reparations in Evanston? I'm sure there's more people who are descendants of slaves that were affected by redlining and anti-black policy during the civil rights era. So only 14 people qualified? Really? According to the Evanston Roundtable, the city expects to dole out the reparations to 140 mostly elderly residents by the end of this year, out of about 75,000 total, officials told the Wall Street Journal. So they're only paying 140 people out of 75,000. Right. So basically what Carlton is saying is that they're paying the people in Evanston to get their homes remodeled so that they can then kick them out, gentrify the place. After they raise the property tax to where it's unaffordable, which is one of the reasons why I tell people pay very close attention when it comes to these financial compensations, because a lot of this stuff can be quantitatively eased, which is one of the reasons why I advocate for building strong value chains so that we have some sort of purchasing power protection. PPP, purchasing power protection. You know what I'm saying? Evanston had committed in 2019 to spend $10 million over 10 years on local reparations. 2 years later, it became the first U.S. city of any size to fund reparations, specifically $25,000 for qualifying Black residents for home repairs, property down payments, and interest or late penalties due on city property. So now they're dictating how these people can use their money. So this isn't reparations, because nobody dictated how white people could use the land that they stole during the Homestead Act. Who dictated how white people could use their land during the Homestead Act? What if when you got your paycheck from your job said that you're only allowed to go to Walmart, you're not allowed to go to Target, you're only allowed to buy poultry products, the money that we pay you isn't good for beef? You would look at them like they were crazy, wouldn't you? So now what we're looking at is large scale political trolling. Would you guys agree? This right here, this stuff right here, this is nothing more than trolling. At the state level, meanwhile, the legislator in New York passed a bill last month that would create a commission to study the effects of slavery and racial discrimination at the Empire State and make recommendations for potential reparations, such as restitution payments from the government. The commission's recommendations would be non-binding, meaning the legislator would decide whether to take them up for a vote. If Governor Kathy Hochul signs the bill, New York could be the second state to establish a reparations commission following California's lead. All right. So my question for you guys is, what do y'all think about that? What do you guys think about that? At the state level, meanwhile, the legislator in New York passed a bill last month that would create a commission to study the effects of slavery and racial discrimination in the Empire State and make recommendations for potential reparations, such as restitution payments from the government. The commission's recommendations would be non-binding, meaning the legislator would decide whether to take them up for a vote. If Governor Kathy Hochul signs the bill, New York would be the second state to establish a reparations commission following California's lead. So now, how many people knew about this bill that New York passed? If you knew about this bill that New York passed, give me a thumbs up. If y'all didn't know about this bill that New York passed, give me a thumbs down. Right, exactly. Carlton says the next thing to watch out for is, can you prove how slavery harmed you directly? This will be their gotcha moment. Well, actually, we can prove how slavery affected us directly. Our last name. Where did people with our last name come from? Now, my question is, everybody that has the same last name as us, how much money was passed down through trusts, wills, and inheritances? And why didn't we get any of it? There goes how slavery affected me. Kick rocks. You know what I'm saying? Kick rocks. At the state level, meanwhile, the legislator in New York passed a bill last month that will create a commission to study the effects of slavery and racial discrimination in the Empire State and make recommendations for potential reparations, such as restitution payments from the government. The commission's recommendations would be non-binding, meaning the legislator would decide whether to take them up for a vote. So now what I want you guys to pay attention to is pay very close attention to how, when it comes to all of this, they're making sure that they stay in control of how the language is being used. That has to be criticized, and that can't be allowed. They can't be allowed to be in control of things affecting us. We have to be in control of that. What's the difference between back then, if you have a white person dictating to you, versus now, if you have a white person dictating to you? As many adosos as are in the United States, those very people attempting to control these conversations and define everything is a conflict of interest. You guys remember that article that we read from Reuters, where they talked about how there's 100 descendant of slave lawmakers here in the United States? That's a conflict of interest. Those people don't have any business dealing with anything we have going on at all. Right. Facts, Deneen. Mauled by a dog because your truck has a missing mud flap. That's how slavery affects us today. Facts. Jim Crow. That's how slavery affects a lot of us that are alive today. For any question that these clowns can answer, I have a anvil-sized answer to drop on them and then turn it a little bit. You guys ever stepped on a bug and then like turned your shoe a little bit? Like that. So now here it says, late last month, California's Reparations Task Force released its final recommendation for the state legislature to consider and potentially send the governor's desk to be signed into law. In its approximately 1,000-page report, the task force proposed dozens of statewide policies and ways to calculate monetary reparations designed to redress slavery and historical injustices against Black Americans. The panel estimated the minimum dollar amount in harm that California has caused or could have prevented totals at least $1 million per eligible Black Californian. Beyond cash payments, the task force recommended a variety of other reparations proposals, such as ending the prosecution of low-level crimes. And again, they got to get this out of here. Something else could be put in here. This kind of shit right here is a criminal justice issue, and criminal justice issues are not inherently Black issues. Criminal justice is an American issue. Look at all the nonviolent marijuana offenders that have been released from Michigan prisons who have gone on to start successful marijuana farms. Are any of them Black? So they got to stop with this kind of stuff right here. You guys, look, check this out. That the ending of prosecution of low-level crimes, that serial killer in Portland, that Professor Black Truth talked about in that Friday crime report, he got released early from prison in a state with a Democratic governor. And that's a white dude. If you're going to address criminal justice as an American issue. You don't sell criminal justice to black people and then utilize the policies like the quote unquote special probation policy. How many people know what the special probation policy is? There was a woman in Connecticut, a white woman, that spit on a black lady's face during a protest. They basically let that white lady off with this first time offender special probation program. That's the kind of stuff that these kind of criminal justice programs do. The criminal justice programs create programs to give people a slap on the wrist, and then they turn around and give people a slap on the wrist for harming you. How many people did they give a special probation program to for assaulting AAPI people? That's my question. And mandating anti-bias training. Again, anti-bias training doesn't do anything. You know how much money that the people that teach the anti-bias training make, and none of them are black? I did a video about that long time ago on Blacklight Revelations 1. None of those people that teach those anti-bias classes are even black. And honestly, I don't care if people do have biases. You need to learn if you need to learn to deal with your biases on your own. Nobody about to baby you through life. If you decide to call the wrong person the N-word and you get washed for it, that's on you. I don't care. Try it in a small town, right? Try it in the hood. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about your bias. They don't need to teach these people no anti-bias classes. They don't need to do none of that. People need to get anti-bias repercussions when they come out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Try it in the hood. Try it in the hood. The hit single by Blacklight Revelations. You know what I'm saying? Deal with your bias like that, or get it dealt with. Look at this. Mandating anti-bias training as a graduate requirement for medical school, among other measures. What's that going to do? Who is that going to help? You know, this got 1,023 comments, man. You know these people, wow. And there's 11 people looking at this right now. 11 people watching this damn comment section. It's more. There's people on YouTube that don't even get 11 people in their live streams, and there's 11 people viewing this comment section. This is the reason why I show people this stuff. These people are very invested in maintaining their privilege, which means that we have to be more invested in removing it. Despite such momentum nationwide, critics argue reparations proposals tend to be fiscally unmanageable and would undermine the effort to create a colorblind society. Who wants to create a colorblind society? Why is that an effort that's even going on? Let me ask you guys a question. How many people are in favor of a colorblind society? If you're in favor of that, give me a thumbs up. Listen, man, it's not my fault that white people cannot deal with race. I don't need a colorblind society because I can deal with people who are of different races. I don't need to automatically assert or attempt to assert superiority over other people simply because they're different. I'm social. I talk to people. I work with people. I have a good time. I can kick it with people. I don't need to be colorblind. If I happen to want some tacos one day, I want to eat some authentic tacos. If I want some Asian food, some hibachi or some Chinese food, I want to eat some Chinese food or some hibachi. I'm not white. I don't need to be colorblind to deal with other people. That's a deficiency. That's a problem. Then that's a you problem that you need to deal with. People being different than me doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me feel like I'm going to go extinct in the next 5 minutes. I don't have that kind of overwhelming paranoia that will make me harm somebody else. We don't need a colorblind society. We need a society that respects everybody for their differences. I don't need to bleach myself down to make myself more palatable for white people because they may not be comfortable with the bass in my voice, or they may not be comfortable with my brand. I don't care what you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable, then you can stay away from me. That doesn't mean that I don't have the right to live. Out your damn mind thinking like that. Colorblind basically means turn everybody into a white person to make white people comfortable. No. The hell? If you were colorblind, then that means that the only people that can be seen are white people because white people don't have any color, allegedly. Which means that, again, this is just the bleaching of America. Man, get the hell out of here with that BS, man. Ain't nobody on that. An effort to create a colorblind society. Now, let me guess. Are they going to quote Martin Luther King as saying that or something like that? Because I'm pretty sure none of them said that. I'm pretty sure none of them said that. Like, if I want to go somewhere to see another culture or to enjoy another culture, I don't want to go to a colorblind place. I'm going there for that culture. I just don't happen to be going there to exploit it like Europeans have a legacy of doing. I don't need any kind of colorblind anything. I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? Most of the world don't need no colorblind anything. The problem with most of the world is that most of the world is already fallen too deep into WS indoctrination, so they're just too far gone. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, some also said it doesn't make sense to have people who never owned slaves pay money to people who were never slaves as a way to atone for slavery. Actually, it makes perfect sense. The people who aren't slaves today, they sure are beneficiaries of privilege today. And we sure are beneficiary of legacy stereotypes. We sure are beneficiaries of negative stereotypes like Birth of a Nation. And somebody sure as hell got rich off of Birth of a Nation. However, many activists and politicians argue the lingering effects of anti-black discrimination still remain. And again, argue? We got adosos as the majority of the government. Are you serious? It's so bad now to the point where we got adosos calling out other adosos. You got Mitch McConnell you got racist ass Mitch McConnell sitting up here telling Ron DeSantis, you doing too much. Are you serious? It's really bad now. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to my man Moxie Approve. What's good with it, bro? Make sure you guys throw some radiation emoji in the chat and show some love to my man Moxie Approve. Yo, Moxie, throw your link in the chat. Make sure y'all go subscribe to my man Moxie's channel too. Great content creator. Great brother, great content creator. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, what an absolute shame that the federal government continues to hide behind its own crimes against humanity, against black people, instead of having the courage to repair the conditions it created, said Heath. Yeah, well, we know. And again, if you have to use any type of empathy or, you know, any type of emotional appeal, you're definitely not going to get it dealing with these folks.